And you're surrounded by stuff that's designed to be addictive and ubiquitous cues to eat.
I never thought about that or heard that before.
Oh, they engineer the environment.
Clues to eat.
Oh, they literally engineer your environment.
Yeah.
And they manipulate consumer behavior. And it is by design. It's all about the money. Period. How do we get you to eat more food?
Friends, we are back with part 2 with my friend Jillian Michaels. And if you missed part 1, you have to check it out, obviously, because we talk about kind of what is happening behind the scenes, what's happening with our soil, what's happening with our food, what's happening with the FDA, what's happening with all these organizations to kind of set up the system to be what it is. And now in this part, we're going to kind of go more into like, what are we picking up at the supermarket that's hurting us? What is hurting our kids? What do we need to be looking out for? And how can we make better choices and better decisions so that we can live a healthier life? And again, when are we going to riot about what they're doing to our food?
Oh dear. Okay. I want to jump in on that one, Maria, if I can. So the reason I think more people are not up in arms is because, first of all, they either don't know, and they don't know for a reason. There's a media blackout in legacy media in large part, outside of Fox, which is very interesting, by all, I mean, ABC.
Because they're funded. But
Bingo.
That's their sponsors.
That's it. In fact, if you look at Time Magazine, they just had that cover, what if ultra-processed foods aren't as bad as you think?
Wait, what?
Oh,
Time Magazine's cover said what?
What if ultra-processed foods aren't as bad as you think? And everybody mobilized to go after them and put them on blast. And then they changed it to, they literally changed the title of the magazine and tried to correct it in arrears and say, one dietitian's take. No. So
wow.
The Atlantic, after we went to the Capitol to do this Senate testimony, most of the people in that group, by the way, were liberal. But each and every one of us made it very clear this is nonpartisan, this is not political. And the Atlantic then came out and said, oh my God, it's MAGA meets woo-woo. Okay. Well, there were doctors from Johns Hopkins, Stanford, and Harvard, PhDs, health advocates, registered dietitians, health activists, and that's what you're going to call it. So the reason people aren't rioting is because not only is there a media blackout on it, but when they address it, again, it's they're crazy, they're MAGA, this is alt-right insanity. Even fitness has now become, MSNBC is like, did you know that fitness is linked to the Nazis? Which I thought was amazing because my grandmother's an Ashkenazi Jew. I was like, where does the Jew then fall who works out at MSNBC? So,
whoa.
Okay, so the issue
is so insane.
And it's so easy to want to believe it, right?
Chills, guys. What are we talking about? Fitness is tied to Nazism?
I promise you. God bless MSNBC with their headlines these days.
Ultra-processed foods might not be bad.
Are not as bad as you think. What if they're not as bad as you think? And if you look at who owns the Atlantic, so of course, one of the major partners in the Atlantic had a massive company that was advising pharmaceutical companies that he sold on the stock market called Optum. It's all about money. Again, raw economic incentives. So people aren't rioting because they don't know. And even if you look at what happened on the Capitol, Fox covered it, and only Fox. Then certain other outlets painted us with a crazy brush, like the Atlantic. And then you had all the independent media jump into the fray. So yourself, Joe Rogan, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, a few really big accounts online like Vigilant Fox and this guy Chief Nerd, they covered it. But if you want to know what's really going on, you're going to have to turn to independent media. And I think people are catching on more and more, and that's why you're seeing television die on the vine. No one trusts it.
Yeah.
They don't trust it. You could turn on your TV and flick on YouTube and watch your show right now, or you could easily flick on CBS.
Yeah.
But people are no longer flicking on CNN, MSNBC, CBS, because more and more, they do not trust the information they're being given. And it's simply because of the raw economic incentives. So that's part of the reason people aren't writing, is they have no idea how deep it goes, and they're busy. They are.
I know.
They're busy. They don't have time to be outraged with this. And that's why some simple, actionable steps, which we'll talk about, but an example would be go to endchronicdisease.com and send a letter to your representative. Hey, stop. I'm outraged about this. Get this out of the school lunches. I really do not like Gavin Newsom, and I think he's done a horrible job with California, but he did just remove Fruit Loops from the schools.
Okay.
I don't like the guy.
Did he also sign that we don't need
Need
to show ID
voter
to
ID?
vote, guys? So my au pair goes, so I can vote 100 times even though I'm not a citizen? I go, yeah, that's what it sounds like. I don't know how this is possible, but it's possible, I guess.
Can't
Only in
stand him.
California.
And I really had to dig deep on whether or not I would give those props. And I had to search my soul. And I was like, Jillian, if you are truly claiming this is a nonpartisan issue, you will give the politicians you hate the most credit for doing the right thing. So I am. And he removed Cheerios or Fruit Loops. But
Great.
I have
Listen.
huge problems with him.
But is it just Fruit Loops? Isn't it like 20,000 other cereals?
I think it was like 5 food dyes. I believe that was it. I didn't dig deeper on it because you're absolutely right. It's been a real internal conflict because I think he's horrendously bad at his job, and that's being kind.
But Fruit Loops are gone.
I think so. I think that's the bill that he just passed a day ago. Nevertheless, you write your representatives. You let them know you're mad.
Let's put the link to that website. Would you say
endchronicdisease.com.
Endchronicdisease.com.
Go to check out Vani Hari's work. She's on Instagram as the Food Babe.
She's coming on the show.
She's wonderful. And she starts these petitions to go after these companies. And a gentleman she works with by the name of Jason Karp is also brilliant. And what I've suggested to the group is organizing strategic boycotts. Because Jason essentially studies how these companies work from a financial perspective. And if you can impact their bottom line by 5%, you can effectuate change immediately. You don't need to wait for the politicians to figure it out. If you look at Bud Light, for example, it's an about face if you can impact the bottom line. So if you can mobilize moms, for example, hey, we're not buying General Mills cereal until this changes, then it will change.
Yeah.
So our little posse in this space is working on some simple, actionable steps that people can take. And it's going to be things like that you can do from an advocacy perspective that won't take a ton of time.
Yeah.
On a personal level, bit more detailed, as it should be. You know, your health is your primary wealth.
We say you got to be the CEO of your health.
100%. If it's common sense stuff, I recommend the following. First, move more. Period. Find a way. It's the number one form of preventative medicine. It's one of the top things that you can do to combat this onslaught of toxins and crap and stress from your lifestyle.
What does it do to help you combat toxins?
Oh my gosh. Even something like sweating, for example. And I had to do a mea culpa on this one because in reality, the most effective way to detox the body is to pee and poop. Yeah. But we've now discovered that we are finding traceable forms of things like bisphenol A in sweat. Just something as simple as that, just sweating, helps you remove some of these toxins from the body, as one example.
Yeah,
and I mean, there are numerous ones.
Infrared sauna, and by the way, they have
sauna
really
works exactly.
inexpensive sauna little coves you can buy on Amazon where you'll sweat.
Yep.
They're like little blanket houses you like put yourself in.
Even things like metabolic disease. One of the best ways to resensitize the body to insulin is exercise. So if you're becoming insulin resistant, exercise, movement is your most powerful tool. These foods, they have no fiber. There's no
That's the problem.
Okay.
That's why I'm drinking straight aloe juice now. And that's why I'm really trying to get my apple a day. And I'm eating my arugula. And I'm trying to eat my endives and radicchio, whatever the hell I'm eating everything.
The health benefits of fiber, which is another component. but it is, oh my God, it's robust. From cultivating a healthier microbiome, which has a halo effect on everything from your immune system to your endocrine system. Helping your body remove toxins, excess estrogen, lowering LDL cholesterol, even potentially helping you excrete out microplastics from the air that we're breathing and the water, the crap that's in the water and the food that we're eating. Exercise you can control, and if I don't have the time, this is my number one tip. I do this with everybody that comes to me. I can't. Get a walking pad. Put it at your desk. I don't care if you're shuffling. Sitting is the new smoking. Standing is better than sitting. By far. Burns 1.5 times the calories. Shuffle along while you're at your desk and get in 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day. It will make a massive difference. And it's the lowest hanging fruit I can provide you. Of course, I want you to go to the gym. Of course, I want you to work out in your living room. Of course, I want you to do your strength training and your HIIT training and your endurance training. Yes, I want all of these things. If I can't have them, get the effing walking pad and give me the steps, for God's sake.
Do you have a walking pad?
Of course. Work on it every day. Hell yeah.
But which one do you like?
I bought some cheap one off of Amazon.
Okay.
It's like, was it $300? It's got a little desk thing that I can lift up or down.
And you can work on your iPad and do your thing.
Oh, I just cruise along at about 2 miles an hour.
I bought a cheap bike like that I used to have on set, and I would do my work.
Yeah.
And this way I would get my movement in.
Night and day. I went from like 3,000 steps a day to 10,000 steps a day without ever even beginning my workout.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. Obviously, focus on your sleep. I know it's tough. It's not so simple.
No,
now,
it's huge, and nobody really understands. I feel like I'm screaming from a mountaintop every day about sleep because I have seen the difference.
Oh, it's huge.
If I sleep consistently, my 8 or 9 hours or whatever it is, everything works in my body, and everything is working.
Great book on it. I don't know if I've spoken to this guy, Matt Walker. His book on sleep.
Okay.
Must have him on.
We're getting a lot of guests from Jillian.
Must read. It's
your body
the
has to do
work.
all of its processes at night. It's detoxification processes, everything. If you're
Healing,
not getting
recovery,
your sleep,
hormone production.
yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
And there's really good sleep hygiene, and all the mouth tape and the blue blockers and the this and the that and the whatever. But it's not that freaking complicated. And the good news is once you changed, it stays changed.
Yeah, I started sleeping with a mask that
Same.
has the indents so your eyes aren't smushed and whatever. And my sleep has changed completely.
Same.
Because no blue light from outside is coming into my room. It's completely pitch black now. And I'm sleeping like a baby.
So much better. I know. Cool temperatures make a big difference. But the thing is, these are simple steps that you change them and they stay changed. Oh, I got the sleep mask. Great. Okay. I've learned to close the shades. Awesome. I lower the air so it's a little cooler and I don't wake up. Perfect.
I'm walking on my little treadmill
Buy
while
it
I'm working in the
once.
morning.
It's easy to do. Food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go to food.
This is-
Actually, hold on.
Yeah.
Because before we go to food, I want to just mention the people who help us keep the lights on here, and then we'll go to food because
Let's
we're
do
going to
it.
wrap it out with that. The holidays are right around the corner, friends, and what better way to sparkle through the season than with some new jewelry from Macy's. Their fine jewelry is on sale now with up to 75% off. Tell your husbands. Plus an extra 20% off when you use the code SPARKLE. So the code SPARKLE, guys, an extra 20% off of the 75%. So whether you're looking for the perfect gift or you just want to treat yourself, which I also love doing, hate waiting for someone else to do it for me, Macy's has everything that you need to shine out at all of your holiday events. So head over to Macys.com, get your holiday shopping started in style. And of course, you guys know my favorite snack, wonderful pistachios. Do you like pistachios?
Oh, love. So good for you, by the way.
God, you're like me. You love a snack that's delicious and good for you. Wonderful pistachios, friends. They're packed with protein, fibers we were just talking about, healthy fats. So while you're fueling your body, you're enjoying every bite. I keep them everywhere, as you know. They're in my glove compartment. They're in my bags because they don't melt.
No,
they're
awesome.
a great snack.
They're really good for you.
And it fills you up. It's satisfying. You can feel good about it. So next time you're reaching for something to munch on, grab some wonderful pistachios. You can go over to wonderfulpistachios.com to stock up on your favorite flavors. Speaking of food.
Food, okay.
Let's
Also,
go.
real quick on low-hanging fruit, go as green as possible with your cleaning products and your beauty products.
Yes, I
Just
noticed a big difference with that too.
Mitigate it.
Now,
Fragrance-free.
I'm not perfect with everything.
No.
I still have some hair fragrance because I love my hair products. But I'm mitigating by doing other things, right?
Exactly.
So
the laundry detergent, the dishwashing soap,
Yes.
just go green, Dr. Bronner's, Method, Honest Company. It's going to be the better option.
Yeah.
Is it perfect? No. But
Better.
again, there's a continuum. Let's land somewhere in the middle.
But also when you're contributing to this cycle, things change, right? Like Honest Company came out and then everyone else started coming. Okay,
Yes,
so now we have
exactly.
more options. When you are contributing to the cycle you want, then you are helping us move in that direction.
100%. And you're creating scale for those types of items, which will ultimately lower the cost
Yes.
over time. So that stuff's easy. Open the windows, get an air filter like you have here, because remember, you're breathing all this crap in too. Put a water filter on the house. Once you do it, it stays changed. It's an initial commitment, but if you amortize that expense and that short amount of time it took you to do it, it pays off in massive dividends over time.
And no more water bottles.
Okay, exactly.
So you have your good water filter. I love my AquaTrue. It's on my site. They do the reverse osmosis alkaline water.
Perfect.
And then I use that Air Doctor. I'm only mentioning brands because I know people want to know. I'm not getting paid to say this, but Air Doctor is the one that
Me either.
Dr. Allison told me was the best. And so those are the ones. I have one in Athena's room. Keep one in here.
Yep. Where you spend most of your time.
Yeah.
Put it in your office, put it in your bedroom. Big difference. Again, these things chip away at you over time. Reverse these little things and you're making positive steps in the right direction over time.
Well, because I've noticed too, like I'm now having our ducts cleaned in our house more often.
Yeah.
Because
smart,
they
dude.
weren't getting cleaned and I was
know.
getting such allergies
Yep.
all the time. But that chronic state of inflammation, not good. I'm doing all these things to stay out of inflammation with my food, but then my environment is killing me.
It's an onslaught 360. And that's why tackling it in these small, accessible ways make a big difference if you hit it from all different angles. Food is the one that's arguably the most difficult because we have to eat and you have to make that decision over and over and over again, day after day after day, multiple times throughout the day. And you're surrounded by stuff that's designed to be addictive and ubiquitous cues to eat.
I never thought about that or heard that before.
Oh, they engineer the
Ubiquitous
environment.
clues to eat.
Oh, they literally engineer your environment.
Yeah.
And they manipulate consumer behavior. And it is by design. It's all about the money, period. How do we get you to eat more food? It's addictive. It's omnipresent. Oh, these Cheerios, they're great for you. Eggs, no good. I mean, manipulated constantly. So now that we have the common sense of an apple is going to be better than sugar cereal, right? You have this common sense, defer to it. If you want to go carnivore, go carnivore. If you want to be vegan, be vegan. Like, I look at these popular fad diets like a religion. If somebody wants to be vegan, I completely respect that. Do I think it's optimal for your health? Is it? No. But if you adhere to certain ground rules that apply to all human beings, like don't overeat and try to remove the 10,000 chemicals and crap that are in ultra processed foods, we'll be fine. So if you're carnivore, the body finds a way to make post-chain fatty acids, blah, blah, blah. Do I think it's the best? No, I like fiber, but way better than the standard American diet. So if you want to be carnivore or you want to be vegan or you want to practice the Mediterranean diet, do it. The rules are as follows. Food in its most whole form. Because if you think, well, what's in there? Oh my gosh, Maria. Artificial colors, artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, fractionated oils. We finally banned trans fats. seed oil, this shit in the seed oil. And I'm not even like,
Can you explain seed oils for everyone? 'Cause I
I'm
think
not
it's
even
like a
all the way
new-
down the rabbit hole on these, to be
Yeah.
fair with you.
I just do
don't
olive
go
oil.
all the way down the rabbit hole on these the way some do, thinking that they are the ultimate devil. I think there are things that are far worse.
But no canola oil.
Why?
Ovs.
like why?
Yeah.
When you have avocado oil and you have olive oil and you have coconut oil and you have lard or ghee, or like, why would you manufacture fats in this really demented and disgusting way? Like, I don't think they're the ultimate Satan, again, the way most do, but they're certainly far from the best choice.
Yeah.
And you have a host of other really good choices. They're cheap. They come from the same shitty crops we talked about earlier. And they're absolutely not going to have health benefits. So why? But you've got anti-caking agents. You've got emulsifiers. I'll give you an example. I think Alex Clark mentioned, it could have been Courtney Swan. When you look at a yoga mat and it's fluffy in the middle, the chemical in that yoga mat that makes it look like spongy and fluffy was in Subway bread to give it the same appearance.
Everyone's jaw just smashed on the ground. Are we okay in there?
But
Do we
there's
need jaws
thousands
redone.
of those kinds of chemicals in our food, and who can really dig in on it would be Courtney Swan, Alex Clark, and Vani Hari. They have done deep dives on each one of these nefarious little things. And
I mean, this goes back though to, I remember, gosh,
petrochemicals.
yeah, I mean, we use petroleum jelly.
I know.
Vaseline is petroleum jelly.
We're
says
eating it
right on
it's
there.
in your food.
Petroleum isn't so much, but I didn't know about that till I started listening to Dr. Cruz and how petroleum, when they were, their whole monopoly got killed, they decided they were going to get into our food systems, into our prescriptions. Anyway, that's when I was like, oh, Vaseline, petroleum jelly. Maybe I shouldn't be putting this on my lips. Yeah. But when I was at Channel 1 News back in the day, I mean, this was, oh my God, over 20 years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago, maybe more. I did a story in Butte, Montana about asbestos. Because they were using asbestos in muffin filler. In our food, we were using asbestos. And Butte, Montana specifically was having this crisis where everyone was dying in town. And I interviewed a young girl who had lost her grandparents, her parents, her siblings. Everyone had died because they were eating so much asbestos. And then eventually that, I think, got taken care of and they killed asbestos. But now our yoga mats are our sandwiches. Great.
And that's just one out of the 10,000. You look at the work of Vani
I used
Hari.
to eat Subway all the time. I loved
I know,
Subway.
right? Because you're like, well,
It was the healthier option then.
Right.
No, but it was the healthier option,
Yep.
we thought.
It's like I'm in the airport and I got to choose between McDonald's or like the turkey sandwich. But these should be illegal. In most countries, these chemicals are illegal. Why? Because it's profitable. Because it sits on the shelf forever. Why is the sugar cereal here in the States, which is crap to begin with, but if you look at Vani Hari and Jason Karup and they hold up Fruit Loops in Canada, they're colored, I think, with like beetroot and carrots, and here it's like neon. Why is it neon? Because kids want to eat it more. So it's more profitable. It gives them an edge over the competition that does the same thing. Even though these healthier formulations exist and are being distributed in other countries as we speak.
As the same brand.
The exact same brand, the exact same product, less poison in your ketchup, in your cereal, in your bread, because it's illegal. Why is it illegal? Because these companies are not funding the policy, which brings us all the way back to Citizens United. Nevertheless, okay, this is why I like an organic stamp. I get it. Organic foods are not perfect. Organic foods are expensive. But at least if you're buying organic, you're not getting yoga mat chemicals or blue number 40 in your food. You're not. It's a bit of an umbrella, if you will.
It's the closest protection we
It
have.
kind of allows you to be as lazy as possible with your food choices. And when certain people will tell you, oh, that's not healthier, that's also a lie. So, for example, a raspberry, they'll say, well, there's no nutrient difference in a conventionally grown raspberry versus an organic raspberry. Totally not true, because the soil for the organic raspberry will at least not have all of this crap in it that's killed everything that's good for you in the soil. And without the pesticide, and you know who talks about this brilliantly is Dr. William Li, who wrote Eat to Beat Disease. Have him on, you'll love him. Cured his 80-year-old mother of cancer with food and
Eat to beat disease, which is what Hippocrates basically said.
Yep.
But Hippocrates sounds like they would say he was stupid and crazy today.
Well, this guy's not. He happens to be a genius. So at least we can bring that back with confidence. And what happens is when these plants are getting attacked by insects, they make phytochemicals like ellagic acid in your strawberry, he talks about. So if a little bug is nibbling on that strawberry, the strawberry is like, no, and makes ellagic acid to protect itself. When you eat the strawberry and it has these plant compounds, these polyphenols, that's really good for our health. We're getting the protective benefits from these plant chemicals. So if you can, with thin-skinned fruits and vegetables, you go organic. If you cannot
What's thin-skinned?
So just
Like a
simply
peach
look up the
or
clean
plum?
15 versus the dirty dozen. So the dirty dozen is going to be the stuff that's like the raspberry, the strawberry, spinach, things of that nature that don't have the opposite exterior of the clean 15. So dirty dozen, if you can't go organic, you do not buy that. You don't buy it. So that's the raspberries.
Can we make the list of the dirty dozen and the clean 15 in our description for everybody?
So think orange, really thick rind.
Yeah.
So it doesn't require these artificial pesticides the way that something thin-skinned would. And it would also absorb less if it wasn't organic. It's the lesser of evils. So you're going to buy the orange, not the raspberries, if you cannot afford organic.
Also, I've been hearing a lot, I don't know how true this is, but if you clean your fruits and vegetables with baking soda, I heard it helps take some of the pesticides out.
Nope.
Oh, thank God I didn't buy that extra large baking soda at Costco.
No.
I went to Costco to do my end of the world shopping the other day. The best
I
is
know.
like,
For the election, are you like, we're going to stock up?
no, I've
I'm
been
like,
stocking up forever, but for the end of the world. But also, the ports, the closure of all the ports
I didn't catch
freaked me
this.
out. Oh my God, the whole eastern seaboard, all the ports closed.
from the hurricane.
It's only no,
No?
the port strike people went on strike.
Girl,
The whole eastern seaboard. So 40% of imports are not going to be coming in. I guess some of the heaviest hit will be like Home Depot, Walmarts, and stuff like that. And so, yeah. And so
Oh, wow.
I was
Okay.
seeing this coming down the pike. And by the way, I'd been already preparing for the end of the world because I have a baby, so I have to be scared and worried. But then when I saw that was coming, Kevin and I went to Costco, and here we go shopping. And the lady's like, your Costco card has been declined. And Kevin's face looked simultaneously, his picture on the ID, simultaneously sad and mad. And she started making fun of him. So I'm on the floor at Costco crying, laughing. He had to go get a new card updated. I went shopping. But it was crazy because I was like, I don't see a lot of people in here. They said it was busier than normal, but it wasn't. And
I didn't even know this.
yeah, and so I stocked up just to be safe so that, we would be good, because I just think of a baby, like you can't not have her food. So yeah.
Nope.
But
No, I know.
I forget why I went to Costco in my story just now, but
You're talking about end of the world food. Shoot. I know. We were
Baking soda.
what?
Baking soda.
Oh, I was gonna buy these big baking sodas.
That's right.
Because I wanted to clean my fruit with it.
No,
thinking
it
that was
doesn't.
the way. So it
doesn't
doesn't work.
wash off. It doesn't cook off. It doesn't bake off.
Perfect.
No.
We're
So
fucked.
you want to try to avoid it. So foods in their most whole form, red meat and dairy, organic. Prioritize the
And
dollars
wild
there.
caught.
Wild caught, but only for certain kinds of fish, dude.
Really?
So, yeah, so then really just pick a handful of things. So
You can do farm raised?
you can with some. Some are going to be better because of the shit in the ocean.
So I was getting farm raised fish from Australia. There was a butcher near us
okay.
that had farm raised from Australia, and I guess he said that things were different there. I don't know.
The Monterey Bay Aquarium has actually a really good site that tells you, okay, environmentally friendly and the least amount of toxins. And it goes in real time in the event that there's been a spill somewhere. But also if you're eating things like oysters, clams, shellfish, less heavy metals, less plastics, less pesticides, wild caught salmon is a yes. But then if you talk to, it really depends on, health wise, it's a yes. Then you talk to Ocean Ramsey and she'll tell you how it's killing all the orcas and you kind of want to just bury your head in the sand again.
The salmon's killing all the orcas?
Something about the way we procure, and forgive me, I am not educated on this.
However, the fishing goes down.
Something about how it happens is harming orcas, I believe. And I kind of just was like, I mentally cannot take this one on. Which is why, you wonder why people aren't rioting. Because you mentally are like,
It's just too much.
I can't add one more
I know.
today because I'm already
I want to go shopping again.
complete nihilist. Yeah. Like it's just, woo. So,
Okay.
oh, good Lord.
And also, like, you really are going, so we'll make the list of the dirty dozen and the clean 15, but like when you go shopping, they do say stay in the outside aisles. Don't go on the inside. Because processed is just anything that comes in a package, right?
Oh my God, you freeze vegetables. They're technically processed, which is why ultra processed foods is really the term that we're giving things like Fruit Loops, Cheetos, stuff that's unrecognizable. Does this have a mother?
Or has more than 3 ingredients,
out of
right?
the ground. I mean, even some things will have a bit more than 3 ingredients, but that's why, again, I like the organic seal because you'll know you're not eating a yoga mat. I know I'm
Who's giving that
oversimplifying
organic
this.
seal? Isn't it the FDA?
Oh my God.
And we
I
can't
don't
trust
believe
them
it
anyway?
is the FDA, actually. Forgive me. I'll have to look up the organization that does it. But
Guys, look it up online really
there
quick.
are strict rules to this. And the reason I know is because we owned an organic coffee company. And to get that certification is no joke.
Yeah, no, I have heard that too.
It is really hard. I speak from personal experience that the rules and regulations are unbelievably stringent. They visit your facility, everything.
Yeah.
Where you get the bean, like it's not perfect. They'll tell you, oh, there's naturally occurring stuff that's not as good, but it's going to be the better option. And it's the lazy man's choice, if you will.
But
So
what about like the kids' foods? So I know we talked about Fruit Loops, but like I don't think we really all understand the dyes. And when you're talking about the 10,000 chemicals, like what is that and where does it exist and what is it doing to our kids?
It's all designed to keep it on the shelf as long as possible, to keep it from caking, to emulsifiers, to keep it creamy, to keep it from caking up, to keep it from rotting on the shelf, to make it as sexy and appealing and shiny as possible so kids want to eat it. All of those different things, these flavors that are addictive, it's all designed to make you want to eat it, to make you want to eat it as long as possible, to undermine your satiety, to make it stay good on the shelf as long as possible. And like, think about it. If you're looking at bread and it looks like a yoga mat, it's spongy and beautiful. Well, it's arguably more appealing than the guy whose bread doesn't look spongy and beautiful. And it's probably a really cheap way to effectuate that at scale. It's that's why it's in there. Can it be done without it? Yes, they're doing it all over the world without it. But we aren't, because they're allowed to do it.
Because we need to riot.
Because we need to riot.
Guys, I'm not inciting violence.
And that's really the issue. So I would say number 1, go Whole Foods. Do the clean 15 over the dirty dozen and prioritize those organic dollars on dairy and meat if you can. simply because the food quality of grass-fed, grass-finished, organic beef is going to be way better than conventionally raised beef that's eating the same genetically engineered corn and soy with growth hormones and antibiotics and all of that crap.
Corn's a no-no.
It's not that it's a no-no. An organic cob of corn would be great for you.
Really? I've been so anti-corn because I'm terrified of it all now.
Organic heirloom corn? Native Americans lived off of this stuff for thousands of years. It's the genetically engineered corn that they're then turning into these cheap refined oils and high fructose corn syrup. And there is a very strong argument to be made that it is boosting our levels of omega-6. So we should have a ratio of like omega-3 to omega-6 1-to-1. These things are really high in omega-6s. So omega-6 fatty acids. So then the argument becomes, wow, you've got all this omega-6 and it's out of whack with omega-3. So is it pro-inflammatory? And I would simply say, don't get in the weeds. You'll find people that have their PhD in nutrition science that will tell you, nah, it's not that big of a threat. And then you'll have somebody flip side, same coin, it's that big of a threat. What I can tell you is red number 40, blue 5, yellow, whatever the hell they are, all this fake shit, you really, really do need to worry about.
So it's the sprinkles on the cake, it's the frostings, it's the cereals, anything that's colored red, yellow, or blue.
That,
we
and
need
like
to stay away
anything
from.
in a package that's like bright, okay, white flour, white sugar, anything white that's processed.
And
so
what is
not
it
a
doing
potato.
to us? And what is it doing to our kids?
It is, okay.
Because
So
that's the
think
thing.
about it
Like,
like
you
this.
can say don't eat this all you want, and then I'm gonna go make my amazing cupcakes
'Kay.
because they taste delicious. And
Two things.
I'm like, well, what's the consequence? I need the consequence.
So there's two things that it's doing. Number one, all of these chemicals in the food, your body is simply not able to remove those toxins at the level you're taking them in. And I'm probably going to butcher this, but when I spoke to Dr. William Lee and Dr. Casey Means about cancer, and forget the shot, I get the vaccine, I know, but my point is simply that statistic I gave you of a 79% increase in cancer ended, that study ran for 3 decades and stopped at 2019. We didn't have the shot yet. So I table it. Like, I don't know, I'll give it to everybody out there, but nevertheless, you still have all these problems outside of the shot. So when you're consuming, and we just have to use common sense here, we have to hypothesize that when we're consuming things that are not food, and food is information, our body does not know how to compute these chemicals. And the question is,
Well, then it's gonna
does
look at it
this
like
create a mutation when our cells are replicating? And then Dr. Lee describes our body, like our immune system, as cops on a beat. And they catch these misfolded proteins and they break them down. The cells die, apoptosis, autophagy. I'm butchering the shit out of this, but the long story short is your body's meant to catch these cells and kill them and break them down and get them out of the body. But if they're accumulating faster, then your body can remove them. And if you think, well, I'm eating all this stuff that isn't food and I'm exposed to toxins that we know. I mean, pick a handful of these 10,000 chemicals. Come on, formaldehyde, all of these things. We know they're linked to cancer. We know they disrupt our endocrine system. Again, like, what would be the result? Well, I mean, what do we think is causing this crazy rise in autism, this crazy rise in infertility, this crazy rise in cancer, this, I've got PCOS, I've got thyroid issues, I've got. Where was it 50 years ago? Where was it? Is it just a coincidence that it happens to coincide directly with all of this shit being put in our food? I doubt it. So the real argument is, what is it doing? All those things we talked about earlier of infertility, early onset cancer diagnosis, autoimmune conditions, autism rates skyrocketing, it's contributing to all of that. If we look at our waistline and the way that it impacts our metabolism, this one I can make really simple for you because I understand this one like the back of my hand. When you eat food, protein, fiber, fat, for example, these things are meant to release satiety hormones that say, we're done. Okay, great.
Notice she didn't say carbs.
Even if, I'll give you, whole grains will work. Whole grains have fiber in it and they'll stretch your stomach.
And what are your whole grains?
Think about things like quinoa. And I'm sorry, the anti-nutrient conversation of like nightshades and lectins, and that's all bullshit. It's been debunked a million times. It's not real.
But
You
Tom Brady doesn't do nightshades. And look at how
wrong,
amazing
Mama.
Tom
He's
Brady
wrong.
is.
There's a robust amount of data to break down why he's wrong, and I recommend.
Listen, my parents grew up on nightshades, like which, by the way, doesn't sound great. My mom died of brain cancer, but that was because I think of Miracle Grow and the stuff. Not Miracle Grow. There was some chemical they were spraying in the property, and whatever. She got exposed to it in a big way. But but all the Mediterranean diet is eggplants, tomatoes, and peppers, and so
Dr. Lee breaks this down in great detail. And somebody else who, I tend to, we have our differences because Lane is not as strict. Dr. Lane Norton, who's a PhD in nutrition science, he's not as stringent as I would like him to be. He's definitely like a science bro. In other words, if you don't give him hard data that artificial sweeteners are killing people, he's just not going to turn on it. Whereas I would say, Lane, common sense, come on. And he's like, Jillian, the data just doesn't support it. Yeah. And in my opinion, you can manipulate the research, obviously.
But also go back to one thing. I don't know if you clearly explained, because we've been talking about so many things.
Obesity.
Research.
Okay.
No, the research is compromised, you said, and not something I want to wrap my head around really quick, too.
God, you know who you need to have on to speak to this is Jason Karp. And Callie's pretty good at it, too. But unfortunately, if you look at who's funding the research and what they choose to lean into and omit or not omit, and it's...
the parameters of what the
if you're trying to prove for something and you're getting paid to do so,
you can do it.
You can corrupt the research. So for example, if you go back and you look at the ways they demonized animal fat and made that the problem for heart disease and completely restructured the food pyramid by buying off all of that research and then saying, we need all these processed grains, this is what we need, like, that's a complete lie. The food pyramid, it's corrupted on purpose. Well, again, economic incentive.
Even there's a lot of incredibly visible charities that are meant to protect massive health issues that are taking money from the very industries that are helping contribute to those illnesses.
They pay for all the research.
So when they call me to do stuff, grants. I just don't respond. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel good about this. And I don't know everything, but
let me give you one more example.
A little bit I know, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that cycle.
Here's an example. If you look at the research that Novo Nordisk does on Ozempic, and then you look at the independent research, somehow it's night and day. Like, never seen a thyroid safety signal just in rats. That's an absolute lie. There was a thyroid safety signal out of France, and there are cases of thyroid cancer in people. If you look at the studies that come out of Canada and the studies that come out of Europe, somehow pancreatitis, somehow it's totally different than the research done by Novo Nordisk. Or Novo Nordisk will say, in this study that we did, only 6% of the people that were taking our medications and our drugs got off of them. Well, there was just a huge survey that was released by a company called Prime Therapeutics. So they're a massive pharmacy benefit manager, which means they manage the prescriptions for millions of Americans. I think this was forgive me, it's been a minute since I've read it. I think it was like 30 million people. So they're a pharmacy benefit manager for Blue Cross Blue Shield. And in this study, they said that 66% of the people that are getting on GLP-1 drugs, things like Ozempic, for example, are getting off of them within the first year alone. And they speculate it's because of cost, side effects, and plateau. No, 66% got off of it in year one, 6% got off of it in the Novo Nordisk research. Yeah, and again, I haven't dug deep on this one. The expert to speak to on how they do it would be Callie Means or Jason Karp, and they'll outline in detail for you. But it has to do with who's getting paid, grants, research money, capturing the journals, buying off the American Academy of Pediatrics. Like, who's funding it?
It's really sad because so much has to change in terms of like how we allow business to be done, in terms of payoffs and lobbyists and all of this stuff. And
Yep.
I believe we'll get there at some point. I really have to believe that, or I'll go crazy. But Kevin will look at me sometimes and he's like, how could they want this? Now, this could apply to like a million different topics, by the way. And I said, Kevin, what you have to understand is they aren't maybe necessarily bad people. I believe what they're doing is feathering their own nest for their own family and saying, forget everybody else. They're just thinking of how can they make money to make sure their family has a lot.
Yep.
And that's all they're thinking about. And then they're moving on because, by the way, I think that's kind of a virus that goes on everywhere is we're not thinking about the collective. We're thinking individually and we're making choices that are hurting the collective. It's end up going to hurt us too, obviously. And so every time someone signs a bill that makes no fucking sense, I said, Kevin, there's something behind that. They are getting something that is going to feather their nest.
Yep.
And
It's
their
the
family's
raw
nest.
economic incentives.
And that's how we just have to look at it for now until something can change. And I don't know what that is going to be. I don't know how we're going to get there.
You have to change. Honestly, you got to reform campaign finance. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
That is what we really do need to start demanding. And you've seen a few candidates over the years speak out about it. You remember John Edwards way back in the day? He had some heavy scandals in his political career. But I remember him talking about that when I was a young kid and not really understanding it. And then there are things about Bernie Sanders that I don't agree with. But Bernie Sanders has been pretty outspoken about the super PACs as well. And now you're starting to see even Vivek Ramaswamy talking about getting the money out of politics.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you can't hate the player. You've got to hate the game. The only way to win, he who has the most money wins. And then you can see how you might rationalize it of like, well, now listen, I think I'm better than them. So if I get in, I'll do a better job. So I have to sell my soul a little or I won't be able to get in. Like you can see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're going to feather your own nest. And you are. Rationalizing is going to be a big part of it. Jillian, I could talk to you for days, and we probably will have many, many, many more sessions. But thank you for being a health advocate out there and for fighting the fight. I know it's not easy. I know the slings and arrows that come with that. And, you know, I think it's just so important that we really, you know, fight for our health. Without our health, we're nothing. So our health is our wealth. And I'm just so grateful for you and for everyone that's fighting the fight out there for all of us. Friends, all of the resources will be inside the description of this episode. And also, if you want to find Jillian, we'll link her podcast in there as well as her socials. In the meantime, please don't be overwhelmed. We're just going to keep taking our baby steps.
Yeah.
But education is the biggest part of this.
That's it.
Knowing is everything and learning is everything. So we're just learning and we're getting better because guess what? Now, if all of us in the Heal Squad go to, what was that website called?
Endchronicdisease.com.
Endchronicdisease.com.
Go to Food Babe on Instagram because you can find Vani's petitions. And she's targeting Kellogg's right now. So that's who we're zeroing in on.
Let's all do our part. It'll take just a few moments. We go in, we sign whatever we have to sign, and we push change forward. That's how we're going to get things done. And then we make our better choices every day as we get more and more informed. So I love you guys. Be nice people, make good choices, and be present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.